This podcast is sponsored by My Bump to Baby Family Protection and Legal Directory. To find your nearest advisor or family law solicitor, head over to www.mybumptobaby.com/family protection legal. Do you love the idea of being your own boss? What about saving money on childcare because you can actually work flexibly around your family? My Bump to Baby is rapidly expanding, and we are looking for people to run their own pregnancy to preschool hubs in their local area. Full training is provided, ongoing mentor support, fantastic regular team incentives, a bonus scheme, uncapped commission, review products for free, and review days out too. If you are interested in being the My Bump to Baby manager for your local area, email us business@mybumptobaby.com. Limited space available. Hello and welcome to My Bump to Baby Expert Podcast, where we bring experts from all over the UK to answer your questions on everything pregnancy to preschool. Today I am joined by the lovely Laura Crawford from Mama Bamboo. Mama Bamboo offers eco-friendly nappies and wipes. And today we're going to be talking a bit more about nappy waste, how it affects the environment, and how we can make a change today to make a better future for our children. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Hello everybody and welcome to the My Bump to Baby Expert Podcast and YouTube video. Today we're recording on YouTube as well. So today we have the founder of Mama Bamboo, Laura Crawford. Hello Laura.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on today.
No, I'm really looking forward to this subject. Today we're going to be talking all about eco and saving the planet and the environment, aren't we, Laura? And you can do this through nappies, wipes, and obviously that's a bit about your business. So Laura, tell us a little bit about Mama Bamboo then.
Certainly. So I started Mama Bamboo just after having my two children 3 years ago now. And really I started it because I personally didn't get on very well with reusables at the time, or the nappies that were available off the shelf. And I really was looking for an eco option that was sustainably produced and friendly to baby skin, and that didn't leak all the time. So I, in frustration really at what was available, I created these bamboo compostable nappies. And it's been a really interesting 3 years because actually the eco landscape for nappying has changed, even since my two were little. And there are many more brands available now. The subscription business around nappies has really boomed, particularly during the COVID years. And the availability of all-in-one reusables that are actually easier to use than the ones that were available 5 years ago. So the space has changed immensely and our business has grown within that space. And we now strongly have a really good, loyal subscription base that use our nappies on a regular sort of basis every month, which either use exclusively eco-disposables or combinations of eco-disposables and reusables. And it's just been fascinating to see that rather rapid change in consumer behaviour, to the point that now 20% of all parents are using eco-disposables and reusables, which is a huge step forward for the country.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we do see these things, don't we, about looking after the environment. And it's like, oh, yeah, well, I'll do a little bit. And then it's like, well, we're still using, a lot of parents, that's 80% are still using, nappies, and it is still damaging the environment and our children. It's thinking of our children's future as well, isn't it?
It is. And sometimes people don't understand the extent of their impact on the environment. So one of the facts that kind of staggered most people is that the average baby will use 6,000 nappies before they're potty trained. 6,000 nappies.
Goodness.
And this leads to, in the UK, 3 billion disposable nappies being used every year.
That's frightening.
And then when you throw in the wet wipes as well, 11 billion wet wipes get used every year, and 90% of them are made of plastic. We know what's in a nappy. Like, you don't sort of look at your nappy and think, oh yeah, that's clearly plastic, isn't it? You have to really find out the detail, that the cover is made of plastic, that the liner is plastic, the chemicals that go into them. And your wet wipes are the same. They're a plastic sheet, no less damaging than a single-use carrier bag from the supermarket.
That's frightening, isn't it? Because they're almost disguised a little bit. And, you wouldn't ever think, oh, this is plastic, like you said. It's it's as damaging.
Yeah, and it's damaging, and that those 3 billion nappies that go into landfill will sit there for 500 years because they're plastic, or they'll be incinerated and produce toxic fumes. And the fact that they actually use like 150 mils of crude oil per nappy produced, which is a staggering amount, actually. And that they use chlorine bleach, and that they use latex and PVC, that they've got perfumes and lotions in them that are completely unnecessary. And it just happens to be how the nappy industry has developed. But there are alternatives to this. I mean, our nappies don't use all of those plastics or chemicals. And there are other brands as well. Kit and Kin and Eco by Nappy are the other two that we often talk about. Our 3 brands use mostly plant-based materials, and we don't use chlorine. We all have either easily recyclable or compostable packaging, and they're readily available. You don't really have to hunt for them anymore. The industry has changed. It's very simple to either find them on a supermarket shelf or sign up to the subscription services.
Yeah,
and I think that's a big step forward for parents. I think in the past, whenever we talked about eco nappies and eco wipes, everybody's mind goes to terry cloth squares, a nappy bin in the corner of the bathroom, sitting there for days, lots of laundering, hot washes, and then stuff hanging around the house drying. But actually, the world has moved on. And an awful lot of parents now do their eco napping by choosing eco disposables and modern day reusables, because even modern day reusables are not like what our parents had to use a long time ago in my case.
Yeah, not mine.
A while back now, the last century anyway. Like the all-in-one nappies that are available, or the 2-part nappies with the boosters in them, they're a lot simpler to use than the old terry cloth. And actually, they're a lot easier to launder than the old terry cloth. So I think when we talk about eco nappying now, people need to kind of get to know what the new options are on the table. And we encourage an awful lot of parents to combi nappy, which means using both a reusable and an eco-disposable. And we've found really that helps somebody elongate an eco-nappying journey, where maybe if you go purely reusable, it can be a little daunting, especially off the bat, like day one. And a lot of parents will give up or find it too difficult. That's not to say that others don't. I think 6% of parents do actually use purely reusable. And I always give them a round of applause for it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Amazing. But actually, by using a combination of the two, we find that more parents can build this into their lifestyle easily. that they can manage a few reusables in the day, eco-disposables at night, reusables when they're at home and it's convenient, eco-disposables when they're out and about or going to grandma's. And it helps parents to actually find a solution that works with their lifestyle, because our lifestyles are busy these days, and we want to encourage parents to get out with their children, go to classes now that they're available again.
Yeah, thank goodness. Yeah.
Finding that kind of combination that works with their lifestyle, and choosing the better quality, more natural products that are available.
Yeah, like you said, with doing it combi, really, it means that, you actually kind of really helping, no matter, even if it's a small change, it makes a big difference, doesn't it? The amount of nappies, like you said, 6,000 before the potty trained, even if you can cut that down,
Yeah, it's a huge difference, isn't it? So I think particularly if what we often say for combi napping is, when your baby is first born, it's all a little bit overwhelming. Best to choose an eco-disposable white for the first 6 weeks. Your whole life is just, let's get used to it.
Yes.
So convenient to you. Also, when a baby is newborn, they're very, very small. Obviously, their bottoms are tiny. And an awful lot of the modern all-in-one nappies actually are just too big for them. So we often say, first 6 weeks, exclusively eco-disposable. Well done. And then don't go all out like I stupidly did with my child, and it all went a bit Pete-tongue. Don't buy 30 reusables straight off the bat. Buy 3. Just 3. And then on a calm day when you're at home, try the reusable. 3 nappies, see how it goes. Wash them, launder them, get yourself a little routine. Continue using the eco-disposables when you're out and about, and for the rest of the time and overnight. If you're comfortable, buy another 3. Elongate how long you can do that routine. And then it will be up to you whether you make the full move and decide to use reusable all of the time, or whether you come up with a routine that says, I like eco-disposables at night, but I don't mind using reusables during the day.
Yeah.
Or if I've gone on holiday, let's face it, nobody really wants to be doing reusables in a caravan.
No.
You might prefer to use eco-disposables for the whole time. You'll also find sometimes childminders and nurseries aren't always keen on reusable, and they prefer you to use a disposable nappy. So a lot of people end up kind of doing a bit of both. And that's really how we sort of elongate someone's eco journey, and make it convenient for them. I can certainly remember the early days when I stupidly went out and bought myself 30 reusable nappies off the bat and was, I'm going to be absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
I can remember crying in the corner on certain days because it was all just a bit too much.
Yes.
I would have been a lot better off kind of finding my balance. And that's really how we encourage a lot of our clients. And it makes a huge environmental difference. So for every eco-disposable you use instead of a standard disposable, you save 150 mils of crude oil. You save on the chlorine. And the nappy itself can break down. It is, well, depends which brand you use, but you could have a compostable one or you can use a recyclable one. And for every reusable one, you're obviously saving on any disposable nappy, which is even better. And the same with white. Like if you can use, a reusable, almost a face cloth, perfect. And if you can use a biodegradable or compostable white, that's a huge difference. I think if anybody ever saw War on Plastic on BBC last year, where they showed the tons and tons of plastic wet wipes, and just thinking mass that will never degrade. It's just going to sit there in landfill forever and a day. So anytime you can make an eco choice, you are making a huge difference to the environment.
Yeah, and like you said as well, if you can do a mixture of both, recyclable as well, you might even find that you save money and do, and do it that way. So then a bit of a mix is another way that you can kind of do it as well.
And I think one of the things that sometimes puts people off using reusables is this idea that you've got to shell out for 30 or 40 nappies on day one, which is quite expensive. It runs to a few £100s before you've even tried it. It is a lot better to buy 3. That's probably only going to cost you 20 or 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And give it a go, and then you can build up to it. So you don't have to invest so much before you've really given it a try. And equally with the eco disposable nappies, once you've tried sort of a pack of them and got familiar with which brand you want to use, I think nearly all the eco disposables now use quite a heavy discount for anyone that subscribes. So if you're on our site on Mum and Bamboo, we offer a 20% discount if you subscribe, which actually makes the nappies quite affordable. Whereas I think a lot of people assume if I'm going to go eco, it's going to cost me an arm and a leg.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of looking out for those things. And we've tried your nappies. We've done quite a few reviews on your nappies, and they're fantastic. Really, really, really good. And I do think it will make a huge difference, because there's a lot of more people definitely looking at these programs and stuff on TV and thinking, oh my goodness, and if everyone just made a small change, it would make such a huge difference, wouldn't it?
It's different. And I think sometimes people are slightly put off by what I call greenwashing out there. They feel like they're going to get sold a lie or a con, and they're a bit nervous because actually there's such a lot of information out there, and some of it is strictly true and some of it is more questionable, and they can just find it a bit confusing, like they don't know which one to choose. On our website, actually, if anybody wants to go and have a look, there is a blog that compares all the different eco nappy brands, and we break it down into what's in the cover, what's in the liner, how much chlorine is used, what the packaging is, and how easy it is to recycle or compost it, what the certifications mean on all of the nappies, and what that company is doing in terms of ethical and sustainable business practices. And that's actually a really useful blog to have a little read of.
Yeah.
Equally, it can go to like the Good Shopping Guide or the Ethical Consumer, who have done all of these tasks and have rated and ranked all of the various nappy companies to say, actually, when somebody says it's an eco nappy, and people kind of question that, well, what is an eco nappy? That really helps to break it down and say, actually, so our nappies have 100% plant-based covers, and 100% compostable liners in them. Equally, Eco by Nappy and Kit and Kin are the same, they're 100%. Some of the other eco brands can be as little as 15% natural-based materials in their covers, which means 85% plastic. And they may not have a compostable or recyclable liner. It's just a piece of polyethylene. So it helps to kind of break down some of those myths, and people feel more confident in their choices.
Yeah.
And that's really what's going through Parliament at the moment. So there is an environmental bill that's been going through Parliament now for 2 years that is calling on all nappy brands to state clearly on their packaging the full list of ingredients. No greenwashing. You have to say exactly what is used in what percentage.
Brilliant.
And, yeah, we support that 100% because people have to have confidence.
Well, you don't know what's on your child's. You want to know what's touching your child's skin, don't you? You want to know it,
You really do. And it does make a huge difference to a child's skin. So Pampers themselves did a report when they released Pampers Pure. And the conclusion of the report, it was about sensitivity and nappy rash. The conclusion of the report was, by not using chlorine and by having, in their case, 20% cotton in the covers, it reduced sensitivity and nappy rash in the test population of babies. And we find anecdotally, a lot of people come to us to say, actually, using bamboo has reduced the nappy rash in our children. You know, I use something called nappy rash comes back in 5 minutes. I swap to yours, it's gone again in 2 days. And that is the difference. So if you are using a normal nappy, you are wrapping a child up in plastic. It's plastic.
Yeah.
And adding the bacteria that obviously comes from wee and poo, and you've got a perfect breeding ground for bacteria, which is going to cause nappy rash and skin irritation. You're trapping in all that heat. And I mean, in this weather, that is not nice. Whereas, like, our nappies are breathable. So by having natural materials on nappy, by having a breathable liner, you're not trapping all that heat inside.
Yeah.
And bamboo itself is naturally antibacterial. So that also helps to reduce nappy rash.
That's excellent. That's really useful. Now, we've got some questions. I know we've been talking a lot, haven't we? But I might have covered some of them, but I'm going to ask you them anyway, just so in case we've missed anything. So bear with me a second. I'm just going to get these up now. Where are we? Okay. So, Laura, if you can answer then, why should parents go green?
I think probably the first thing is the understanding that a normal nappy is made of plastic.
Yeah.
And a normal wet is made of plastic. It doesn't look like plastic, but it is. It's also made with chemicals like chlorine. A lot of them have adhesives and dyes in, which aren't vegan certified. And some nappies even have perfumes and lotions, which are just completely unnecessary.
For a baby, yeah, you just don't. What
you really don't. No. And wet wipes, you know, they're plastic. And then really check the ingredients on those wet wipes. Some of the ingredients are endocrine disruptors, which actually affect a baby's hormones. And the baby's skin is so much more porous than ours. It's so much more sensitive. So you really don't want to use them on your baby. And you really don't want all that plastic and all that chemicals in your baby's nappy changing routine. And it's just that staggering fact, I think, that babies get through 6,000 nappies in the first couple of years of life, and around 12,000 to 18,000 wet wipes.
Wow.
You just don't want to be contributing that to the environment.
Absolutely. I know. I think we have covered that point, but I do think it's important to stress around that, because it is, like we said just before, it does make a huge difference, even making a small change, like we've said. So I think we've covered this as well, Laura. But what are the different eco options, and what does when does eco really mean eco?
Eco disposable, and there are a variety of brands available, and it's worth doing a research to find out actually what are the ingredients within those eco disposables. And there are all-in-one or pocket nappies that are the reusable options. And most parents that go down the eco route use a combination of the two. They want the convenience of the disposable or the high performance over night times, etc. And they might use a reusable when they're at home or it's convenient, within their own routine. The eco disposables, as I say, there is quite a range of eco disposables available, and they range from 100% plant-based down to around kind of 10 to 15% plant-based. But they will all, but none of them have latex or PVC in them. None of the eco disposables will use perfumes or lotions, and they will all have a percentage of plant-based material in their design. And the eco disposable brands all tend to be higher on the ethical consumer ratings, and they will have done things like carbon neutralizing. So they're sort of the better option to the standard nappies. So it's worth doing your research and finding out like exactly what goes into those. There are eco disposable wet wipes available, and these are basically, they function exactly the same as a normal wet wipe, but they'll compost down. They're made 100% of a plant-based material. And then there are the reusable versions, as I say. These are usually, most of them these days, are the all-in-one version that then has a little booster paddy locked inside a little pocket. And they're often cotton or bamboo, those boosters.
Can I ask around those actually? Because a question I've got, only because I've never really used those, is how does it work in terms of, do you change it every time your baby has a wee? Or like, is it, and what happens after an explosion, basically? Like, how do you, what's the best way to tackle that? Because I think that's probably a thing that parents, you know, they get the nappy. The great thing, like, about your nappies as well, is you can just be like, right, see you later. That's out the window. But how, not out the window, literally, by the way. No, absolutely not. But what would you do in that circumstance?
Yeah. So if you're using a reusable, if baby has a little wee, it's probably okay for a little while. So if you've got your booster pad in there, it can soak that away from the baby's skin. They're not as good at soaking it away from baby's skin and absorbing it as an eco-disposable, because they don't have kind of the same makeup in their material.
Yeah.
But it can pull it away and you'll get away with it. After a while, though, you'll notice it's starting to get a little bit full, and baby skin might be a bit damp, so whip it off.
Yeah.
If it is, as we describe, a punami, which is a full-on explosion, the best thing to do is take it off. I mean, ASAP, get it away from your baby's skin, because no matter what you're using, you do not want that sitting on your baby's skin. That is bacteria loaded, and it's going to cause a problem. Get it away. If it is a reusable, if you can, kind of tip as much as you can down the loo.
Oh, yes, good thinking.
Like an adult mess would go, and then it'll go through the water system. If it's solid, when they're a little bit older and they started weaning, solid, you can kind of just push it off. And
go
down.
Yeah.
When they're little, and you've got that, what I used to call the seedy mustard stuff that was a bit more smeared, try and tip as much down. You can then, and the way I used to do it was have a jug of water, and you sort of use a jug of water from the sink and kind of rinse a little bit to get as much off as possible.
Yeah.
Don't do what my mother did once, which was then take the nappy and run it under my sink in the bathroom, which then meant it was all around the sink.
Yes.
Just with the lid, it's a lot nicer. You can flush it down.
Yeah.
Just have a bathroom and just give it a quick rinse. And once it's sort of reasonably clean, you can just pop that in your nappy bin. So you'll have a reasonable sized wet bucket, usually with a good lid on it, and then just pop that in there. It can be in either cold water for a little while. Some pop them in dry. It's really your choice. At least every 2 days. But ideally every 2 days, do a wash. Use an eco detergent. They used to say use a 90-degree wash. You don't need to use a 90-degree wash.
Right.
You could get away with a 40-degree wash. Some prefer 60. That's your choice. You could get away with a 40-degree wash. Make sure it's a long wash. So not the short ones that we often use in the day. I know I do an awful lot of hand washing at like 55 minutes. Use a full 2 hour or 3 hour, whatever your washing machine is set to. And make sure it runs through. Get them nice and clean. Line dry where possible. I mean, in this weather.
Oh, yes.
And you'll be done in like a couple of hours. It's perfect. Obviously in the winter, that's a little bit harder. Tumble dryer use negates all the environmental benefits, and in a lot of cases can actually damage the material.
Right.
So these new nappies, instead of the terry cloth, these new kind of all-in-ones often have a PUL waterproof cover on them, and that is damaged by using the tumble dryer. So you'll shorten the life of your nappy. So do try and line dry as often as possible. And in the winter, and it's very tempting to line dry them over your radiator, don't do that.
No.
Actually, the heat coming up from the radiator can also damage them. So away from the radiators.
Just on a maiden or something like that.
Salon made them, just pinned up, and I know it's hard if you're living in a flat or you don't have access to a washing machine. That can make it trickier. But as I say, if you combi nappy, it won't be so overwhelming.
Yes.
And then the only last thing really to be aware of is probably about once a month or so, you might consider doing what we call an ammonia wash of your nappies, or I think it's also referred to as a strip wash. And it will depend on how often they've been used and the treatment of them. But just occasionally, you might find that you get a slight smell of ammonia in them. It's coming from the baby's wee. And eventually that can build up and cause a little bit of nappy rash. But actually, a quick strip wash and you're good to go again.
Great.
So it's not that hard. And I know there is a labour involved in this extra washing. As I say, if you combi nappy and just build your way into reusable, you'll find that you've got such a routine that it just kind of fits in with your weekly routine.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we often say to parents is give yourself a break. So if baby is teething, if it's been a really disturbed week for one reason or another, I mean, we don't get to do it anymore, but you've been on holiday and baby's a bit jet lagged. You don't get to do that now.
No, that's been taken as well. Yeah, can't have that anymore.
If it's been, a tricky couple of nights or a tricky week, give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Use the disposables for the whole time, for a day or two, so you avoid the washing. Take a deep breath and give it another go.
Yeah, that's why it's great to have both options, isn't it, really? I mean, yeah, I think that, and then you're just working out what works for you. It might be in the afternoons that it makes sense to just use the reusable ones, or, but like you said, and then you've got both options. It's like, right, I'm busy these next 2 days. I'm just going to do this option. And yeah, I really like that idea. That's really, really good. I've never thought of it like that before, to be honest.
Yeah, I think too often we get stuck on the 100% ideal. We're like, we've got to 100% reusable, there's no option, or we've got to 100% breastfeeding. If I dare to give them one bottle, no.
Yeah, that's what you feel like, don't you? Yeah.
It's fine. Use a combination. Work out a routine that works for you, and just give yourself a break. Like, it's not supposed to be a difficult time, or certainly nappies aren't supposed to add to the difficult time that you're already having.
Yes, no, you're right. Yeah, exactly. No, that's 100% right. So I know it's stressful enough as a parent, isn't it? You've got that much going on. I think, it's just a case of, by combi napping, it just takes away that stress of doing just one thing.
And so give yourself a pat on the back for every eco-disposable you use and every reusable you use. Give yourself a pat on the back and say, hey, I did not use a plastic one. Well done.
Yeah, I agree. That's brilliant. So why does Mama Bamboo then choose, should I say, bamboo?
So we chose bamboo. So I looked at all of the materials that were available and what I could switch out some of the materials for. And I had basically the two options on the table for me were an organic cotton or a bamboo. Organic cotton is a much better material than normal cotton because you're not using fertilizers and pesticides, but you are still using an awful lot of water. So cotton is a very, very thirsty crop. And actually there are areas in the world that have been almost drained in order to irrigate cotton fields.
Wow.
It's one of those, although organic is much, much better for the environment, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Nothing is perfect. But bamboo is not that thirsty. So bamboo does not require false irrigation. It grows organically with no fertilizers or pesticides. You also, by using what we use is FSC certified bamboo, so Forest Stewardship Council certified. We know that the bamboo is sustainably harvested. If you harvest a bamboo forest, you don't cut down the whole forest. you actually only take down about a third of the forest at any one time, which encourages light into the forest floor and encourages regeneration.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like trees or cotton. You're not actually cutting the whole plant down. Bamboo grows immensely fast. During its growing season, you can almost watch it growing. It can
Wow.
grow 13 centimetres in an hour. It's incredible.
Oh, my goodness.
If anybody's planted bamboo in their garden, you probably think you've made a mistake because it just grows. It grows like a weed and it takes it over. You really have to kind of cut it down and restrict it unless you do want a bamboo forest in your garden. So those were the sort of the environmental reasons why we wanted to use bamboo. And then there were the reasons that actually it was better for babies by being so breathable and being naturally antibacterial. It was helping with that nappy rash. And that was really why we chose bamboo. We always kind of want to balance out that it's better for the environment, but it's also better for baby. We have to balance every time. And that's why we chose the bamboo. And actually, it has been commonly used in Southeast Asia for nappies and baby products.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Right.
We haven't used it here because obviously bamboo's not grown in the UK.
No, of course. Yeah, exactly. So how does using plant-based materials help avoid nappy rash? Now, I think we've covered this because of the other things that are in plastic nappies, but is there anything else that you could add to that or go over again?
I think it's really about the fact that if you're using a plastic nappy, you've got all the chemicals tied in there as well. But plastic traps heat, it traps bacteria, it leads to huge bacteria growth in a nappy area, which can lead to nappy rash. It's not at all breathable. If, as a lady, if you've ever used a sanitary pad overnight, in your knickers, and it's been a bit hot, it's not that comfortable.
No.
Now, a baby is wrapped up in that plastic 24/7 for 2 years. That's a long time.
Oh, it just makes me itchy, the thought of it.
You're like,
no.
Here the cystitis coming. But it's the same for a baby. Like, that's not comfortable wrapping up in plastic.
No.
And it was actually shown in 2008, 2009, when we had the economic collapse. And a lot of parents switched for supermarket brands and slightly cheaper versions of nappies. As those sales rose, so did the sales of nappy cream.
Oh, really? Wow. Goodness.
So plant-based is obviously better. And we know that. Adults will happily pay 50, 60, 70 pounds for bamboo sportswear and bamboo socks. Because we know that natural materials are better for our skin and they help us breathe.
Yeah.
Lots of ladies will buy their husbands bamboo socks because it helps not let their feet smell.
Oh, right. Oh, well, that's a good tip. I'll add that to the Christmas list. Yeah. No, that's really useful. With the eco wipes, I know we haven't really touched on those. How does eco wipes help, avoid allergens and protect delicate skin?
So, by using a natural material, obviously you're improving your environmental impact rather than using a plastic one.
Yeah.
But also, the likelihood is if you've chosen one of the biodegradable eco wipes, it will avoid the allergens that are in an awful lot of wet wipes. Some of the wet wipes on the market today that are marketed as baby wipes and even sensitive baby wipes will include some pretty horrible ingredients that have been proven to be endocrine disruptors. Endocrine disruptors means that it can actually affect a baby's hormones. And you don't want to be using that on your baby.
No.
Some of them even include some materials that are formaldehyde releasing. And again, you don't want that near a baby's skin. A baby's skin is so much thinner than our skin. It soaks up the chemicals that are on it. so much more than an adult skin. And it is just more sensitive at that stage. I mean, when they're really, really little, they used to say, just use cotton wool and water.
Yes.
Actually, there's been quite a lot of studies done to say using a wet wipe is better because you don't pull on the skin as much. It slides over the skin better, which is excellent. But you do have to be careful about what's involved in that cleansing solution.
Yeah.
So I think usually by using an eco one, the companies are more ethical and they will have avoided an awful lot of the allergens that have been in previous wet wipes. But it's always worth checking the ingredients on the back.
What I found with your wipes actually is they're so strong. So instead of having to use a previous make, when I'd have to get like 4, I only needed to use 1. And it was literally, and it's strong, so it kind of pulls everything away. And that makes a big difference because you actually save money then as well. You can start to look at it that way.
And the bamboo makes them strong. So yeah, some of the eco wipes that are available are kind of a paper-based one, sort of paper pulp. They can tear a little more often, whereas the bamboo is strong. I mean, bamboo is an incredible thing. It can be used to make the softest babies' nappies and clothing. It can equally be used to make hardwood floors.
Wow, that's crazy.
Bamboo is an immense material. So yeah, they are stronger. And what I love about our wipes is we sometimes have people say to us, I can't get my mascara off with them. And I'm like, good. I don't want you to be able to get waterproof mascara off with the same wipe you put on your baby's skin.
Yeah.
Because you need to get waterproof mascara off.
Yeah.
So I like the fact that people say, but they're really rubbish on my waterproof. And I'm like,
yeah, good. Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Gosh, yeah. So Laura, then, can you tell us a bit about where people can find you and what options you've got available at Mama Bamboo for parents that are looking to go more eco-friendly?
Yeah, certainly. So to find us, the easiest place to find us is on our own website, which is mamabamboo.com.
I'll put that link in the notes to this podcast as well.
Perfect. And we are also available on Amazon and Ocado, so you can get us with your weekly shopping if you're on shop. And we always kind of advise, once you've tested it, wherever you first get your first pack from, if you come to us and get your subscription, you get that 20% off, which is a big bonus, which is perfect for you. And the options vary from, you can either get a little sample of 2, which the sample is free, you just pay for postage, and that'll give you like a little pack with just 2 nappies in them. Oh, in fact, I've got one there. Just a teeny pack with 2 nappies in, so you can sort of test them for quality. However, we do advise, if you want to do a trial, to buy a trial bundle, which is a full-size pack of nappies and a full-size pack of wipes, because that gives you 3 or 4 days worth to test. And really, you want to test them day, night. You want to see whether actually they do contain a punami, whether they contain a really heavy wetting night. And that just gives you a little longer. And particularly with wet wipes, quite often you'll find the build-up of a wet wipe takes a couple of days. So if you make a quick switch and choose a cheaper wipe for the first hour or 2, you probably won't notice anything. But after 3 days, your baby's skin's going red, or maybe it's starting to blister. It takes a while to build up. So we do tend to push people to get the trial bundle and test us out for a good 3 or 4 days. And we're so confident. Once you've had us for 4 days,
be handy for an adult size, really. Yeah. Not have to go to the bathroom, just sit in them all day. They are comfy. They are really comfy. Well, I haven't worn them, sorry. George did, but I did notice a huge difference.
Yeah.
In that.
Unfortunately, we only go to a size 6 in the pull-up. We'll work on an average size one.
Yeah, that would be good. No, honestly, that sounds like I just sit here and weigh myself. Just to be clear, I don't. But yeah, no, that's great, Laura. It's been really interesting speaking to you about all this, because I do think it's, there's not enough information out there sometimes, and it's quite hard to understand when you don't really know what it means. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you can be reading about it and you think, what does that mean? And it's just a case of kind of simplifying it all and explaining it as a whole, which I think you've done a really good job of doing.
And I think that's absolutely it. I think it can feel quite overwhelming. And I know a lot of parents obviously start their research during sort of their second or third trimester when they've got time. But an awful lot of parents start to think about this, 3 months in. And that it's a little overwhelming as it is, and actually finding the headspace to break through all the academic arguments and do all the research on all the various options out there, and then start to use the ones that work for you. That's a lot of extra work to be doing at a time where really you're still focusing on how many wees have they done a day, how many ounces have they taken of this milk, have they had their nap. Actually, it can be really overwhelming in the early days.
It can. And another thing parents can do, which we actually did with George, is we started kind of buying things from the second trimester and just buying the nappies ready, and kind of stocking up almost. So then you've got that time and you've got, quite a lot there ready to get you started, really.
Yeah. We get an awful lot of actually grandparents will sign up to our subscriptions before the baby's born.
Oh, love that.
They've got time and they're doing the research, and a lot of grandmothers will say to us, like, I didn't want my daughter or daughter-in-law to do the pure terry cloth because I remember how hard that was when I did it. So I'm signing her up. I've done my research. I think yours is the best one, the eco one. We're going to give it to them as a gift. And actually, it's a brilliant grandparent gift.
Yeah.
A lot of grandparents will focus on the pram or the cot.
Yeah.
Equally, the nappies, it's a big household expenditure for that first couple of years. So, yeah, if there's any loving grandparents out there, it's quite nice.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. I do see the benefits there, especially for even second time, third time parents that actually have the other stuff already. They don't really need anything, and it's like, well, get me the nappies, because it does add. It does add.
I've already got a cot. I've already got 10 ton of clothing. Grandma, you want to buy me a gift? This will do.
Yeah, nappies and wipes, please. Yeah, exactly. That's great. Well, Laura, thank you so much for coming on today anyway and talking to us. I really appreciate it.
Super. Thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for watching our YouTube video today. If you are liking what you're viewing, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see more of our videos and more of our updates.